Hello and welcome back. Trading System Lab has been involved in many research projects following the release of version 1. This demonstration will cover several of those research projects that are now in beta and are being evaluated by our beta testers. So the first thing that I would like to discuss is the addition of a new trade type. We've been experimenting with trade type number 28, which is enter on a limit or next open. Now, why did we choose this particular set of trade types? We already have stop or limit, close plus or minus a limit, open plus or minus a limit, and many other trade types and combinations of trade types, including a 4-subsystem trade type, number 21, which enters on the limit or any one of 3 different stop types to capture a total of 4 different regimes of the market. TT28 is much simpler than that. It's looking at capturing primarily 2 regimes of the market. A limit-based entry, which would capture those moves that are counter-trending in nature. Remember that a limit-based entry for index markets often has the highest average trade. However, it also has some other issues. For example, a fill issue if the limit order is just touched but not penetrated. Now, Trading System Lab tracks those extreme limit touches and presents a report which helps you prevent the introduction of trading strategies that have a very high number of extreme limit hits. The next bar's open trade type will capture those markets that are trending in nature, less counter-trending, but not so much trending that they would require entering on a stop, which might not get filled if hit. The next open order will always get filled because it's a market order that will be invoked at the opening of the next bar. So the other thing I'd like to discuss is the addition of what we call width parameters on the GP limit exit and GP stop. Now, what we found with the GP limit exits and limit stops is that they were very sensitive, and they often got you out of the market without allowing the market to move enough in the direction that you would like it to move in. Remember, the GP exits and stops make use of the higher level outputs of the genetic program. Now, we've got 56 inputs that are allowed in the baseline version of TSL Pro. We also have 8 independent outputs that are allowed. So some of those outputs are used for the trading tactics. For example, on TT28, we might use 2 GP outputs, one for each one of these tactics. But in addition, we might use another GP output for a stop and another GP output for an exit, perhaps another GP output for a evolved money management criteria. So you can see that we have tremendous flexibility in the deployment of the GP outputs that come out of the genetic programming engine. The stop width parameter allows for a secondary wider stop or limit target to be invoked, and these are based on some rather traditional volatility measures. So the higher the number, the further away from the entry price the stop is. The higher the number here, the further away the GP limit exit is from the entry price, etc. The other thing I'd like to discuss is our use of trade type 3. Now, we've had trade type 3 since the beginning of version 1, but what we haven't been doing enough of is utilizing these well-known and standard trade types with backward OOS and an additional held out in front of the market. So in other words, we have two different out of sample periods. We have one that employs, in this case, 20% of the oldest data is out of sample, but we can also hold back a year or so of forward data to do additional testing moving forward. Now remember, in Trading System Lab Pro and TSL Lite, out of sample is purely out of sample. There's no evaluation done of the out of sample data that's then fed back into the training algorithm. We don't, for example, look at the slope of the out of sample results and then use that as part of the training algorithm. That violates classical machine learning approaches in that any time that you use any data from the out of sample into the in-sample training algorithm, you've effectively negated the out-of-sample data, and now the OOS data becomes, in fact, in-sample or training data. So we don't do that in Trading System Lab or TSL Lite. So what we found in using back OOS, further held out data in front, trade type number 3, along with various out-of-the-box preprocessors, is we've seen some pretty remarkable results that that I'll be covering here in just a minute. But first I want to remind everybody that TSL does not require your PC to run just one instance of TSL. We've shown you can run as many as 40 instances of TSL, all running at full speed on your PC, each doing a different project. One of these, for example, is running a Evo run. One of them is running a single market setup using some other criteria. Another one is running a different trade type, in this case trade type number 5, preprocessor number 4, a GP limit exit, a GP stop, and a backwards out of sample along with constant dollars with the divisor set at with the numerator set at $6,000. So we're dividing the price of the market into 6,000. That's how many contracts we trade. This is all the E-mini S&P 500 daily data from 1982 to 2022. So the maximum price of the E-mini S&P 500 data in the entire time series is 55.71. So utilizing 6,000 as the constant dollars implies that we're only trading one lot currently on the E-mini S&P 500. So the data that I'm going to show you now is in fact just trading one lot on the S&P 500 E-mini market. So let's start with this system here that we built. And again, these systems are all built using TSL Pro, and all of the settings are available out of the box. We did not use in any of these systems that I'm going to show you, we did not use the new stop width criteria here to create these systems. So this first system here is a trade type number 3, which is a market order on next open, and the standard default mixed trend counter trend preprocessor. We're going long and short. We're not using any money management, any constant dollars of any type. It is just simply trading one contract, holding it until we get the reversal signal. So the reversal signal then becomes the stop loss. So here's the data from 1982 to 2022. We have some periods of drawdown here that we'd like to smooth out, but there's plenty of good quality segments in the data for a first look of a trading system. The no slippage commission in this particular model. We can certainly add that in the data. This shows a 370K total net profit in this simulation over this period of time. Remember, if we do consume slippage commission, we should be using a percent-based commission type of report. Because back when the S&P 500 in the back adjusted futures contract was trading in the 300s, we certainly wouldn't want to use a very large number for slippage and commission. First off, it was inappropriate back then when the full-size S&P 500 was trading in nickel increments, and the current E-mini is trading in quarter increments. It'd be inappropriate to use a very large number for slippage commission. It would just simply wipe out any profit that you would get, because the average trade back in the 80s and the early 90s was so small. The S&P 500 E-mini contract came about in 1997. Following that period, we were then trading the quarter point E-mini S&P 500. So 370K for this one. Let's go on to the next one. This next one is another system. Let me pull up the inputs here. And this particular system is a next open system again. That's using preprocessor number 3. Now that's the primarily counter trending based system. It's also going long and short, trading just one contract. Again, we can see that the net profit increased considerably. We let this run a little bit longer on the preprocessor number 3. We've got a good profit factor of 2.41, and the drawdown looks very reasonable for a one contract trading system with 70% accuracy. Flat times here back up until 1997 when the E-mini became invoked, but this data is actually useful in that there is some information back in that period that the genetic program can use moving forward in its evaluation. We've been primarily using backwards out of sample, and then that held out last year or so worth of data as a double test moving forward. Again, big ballistic rises here when the market rallied so extreme, and then of course collapsed during COVID, and then rallied again. Let's see. So we increased the overall net profit considerably from that first system. Let's go on to this next system here. I'll close that out so I can pull up the inputs a little easier. So this system here uses the trait type 28 that we've been experimenting with, and the preprocessor number 4, which is the numeric preprocessor. So this is using that new enter on a limit or enter on next open based trading system that we're experimenting with. And this particular system went up a few $1,000s in total net profit, but the profit factor dropped down considerably. Very active system, 2,200 trades on daily data in the test, and drawdown also increased quite a bit over what we saw earlier. Still pretty nice equity curve. Again, this characteristic flat period back in here in the 80s, which we've come to expect. but not bad for a first serious run on trade type 28. This final system that I'd like to show is a trade type 3 again, this time using the default mixed trend counter trend preprocessor. Again, backwards OOS, forward double test, long and short, no other settings. The reversal becomes the stop loss, and for this one we let it run a little bit longer than the others just to see what would happen. And in this particular case, we broke through that 500K barrier with a very nice profit factor. Peak to valley drawdown, of course, increased a fair amount. Net trade to trade drawdown is reasonable, but we did break through that 500K barrier on this. The equity curve does have a little U here at the top on the double blind portion of the data, which goes back around in here somewhere. So that's a little bit questionable, but still we were able to exceed our what we thought was a glass ceiling up around the mid 400K of total net profit. Again, that's not including slippage and commission. These are hypothetical simulation numbers. This is not live trading. The purpose of these simulations is to give you reasonable confidence of your system moving forward in live trading. We also have a plethora of other stress tests to employ here on these trading systems, and things to watch out for in the that are potential overfits in the data. So it's not just simply we're taking these systems and we're going to invoke them. We have other work to do here on these systems before we go ahead and invoke them. These items are all covered in our training sessions that we have with our clients and in the user guide. As you may recall, when we're ready to translate our system into TradeStation, we stop the run. Then we're presented with a list of trading algorithms, fitness functions that we can then translate into other languages for deployment into platforms such as TradeStation. If we wish, we can turn on post-design evaluation and begin to evaluate post-design these trading strategies that have emerged. And whenever we click on the buffer, this buffer, by the way, each instance can contain as many as 300 individual trading strategies. So you have plenty of trading strategies to choose from. And as you can see, every time we click on a new system, that updates the GUI and displays the results of that system. So we can pick the most recent, the best system, or we can actually look at the code a little bit further and evaluate which trading strategy we would like to invoke. When we're on the final step, we turn off post-design evaluation, remove the introns, which simplifies the trading system considerably. So this equity curve that you're looking at here, in sample and out of sample, was created with simply 3 inputs. Input number 7, 18, and 36. 7, 18, and 36. So it's an extremely simple trading system. This code then would be copy and pasted as C# code or easy language code or power language code or other languages into the execution platform of your choice. and that makes this trading strategy ready to trade. We hope you enjoyed this demo. Please feel free to visit our website, tradingsystemlab.com, and stay safe.